Alright, welcome back, Thruxton. Boy, this track is a lot harder than it looks, and the setup is a lot harder than it looks. I think every corner here is off camber. This is going to take a little practice to get fast here. It is so easy to lose time. So, there is a lot of curbs to go over. Ride height, I think, is as high as I've ever had it, -9 in the front. Damper compression softened up 18 clicks. You got to go over a lot of curbs here. It's just softer suspension works. You need a soft suspension here. These curbs, are even with the ride height as high as it is, they still are disruptive, but you have to go over them. Brake bias is up because the damper compression is down. Um, Depending on, everyone has a different like for brake bias, but probably a little bit higher than what you're used to here. Actually, probably a lot higher than what you're used to here. Um, with the suspension being as soft as it is. Uh, Spring rates soft as they go, front and back. Yeah, again, need to soften that suspension up for those curbs. Cambers are not super high. 1.4 on the left, 1.1 on the right. If you know my channel, I play around with the cambers. If you want to keep them symmetrical, go with the 1.4 on both sides. Toe in 1.4. Yeah, you could argue maybe a 1.5. This setup can have a 1.5 if you want more turn-in. If you find the car isn't sharp enough, the problem is, I found, if you make the front end too pointy, then the back end wants to step out more, and that is a very big issue on this track. So 1.4. 1.3 again, maybe the car's a little bit not pointy enough. So I think 1.4 is the sweet spot. Suspension, soft as it goes in the rear. Camber 1.3 on the left, 1 on the right. Again, go with the higher values if you want to keep those symmetrical. And toe in 0.1 on the rear. The tires get very hot on this track, and having the toes turned up any more than that really gets the tires cooking. So zero point 0.1 for the toe. And ride height 0.8 in the rear, so just 1 mil higher than the front. ARB is 15. 20, I found you lose the back end too easy. You do too much sliding, you scrub too much speed, but you do surprisingly need to have the rotation in the car around these corners, again, because it's all off camber. So 10 probably is just going to understeer you off track, so you do need that 15. And damper compression in the rear is softened up, 5 clicks. Again, going over those curbs, you want the back end when you get on the throttle to bear down a little bit more than normal, just so you don't spin up so easy as you get off those curbs. Fuel level 15. I don't know if I've ever had 15 before. I think 15 is going to be necessary, even possibly 16 if you are a little heavier on the throttle and rev it out a little longer. You may need 16. And very tall. So the iRacing setup for this track is very different to mine. Certainly give it a try. It is got the cambers maxed out. Ride height's pretty similar. They have the suspension not as soft, and they also have a tall gear stack. The tall gear stack works nice, but if you are in the lead, if you're planning on leading the entire race, tall gear stack might be the way to go. However, if you are going to be in the draft, very tall is probably what you're going to find is much better, because you do reach the rev limit a few points with a tall gear stack, and you reach the rev limit a fair bit before the braking zone. So if you are in the draft, tall is not going to do you very good. If you were in the lead, maybe it'll work, but very tall, I think, is going to be the way to go. All right, we will get into the laps. Track's 26 degrees, 30% usage, so that should be pretty accurate, I think, for the week. So we'll run this out at slow-mo and then at full speed. So coming into turn 1 in 3rd gear. So looking for the kink in the track here and turning in just before it. You have to go over the curbs here, and you have to go over them aggressively. If you just graze the side, it is going to push you, and it is going to give you more problems. You've got to get right up on top of them. And then just a little bit of lift when you're on these curbs. If you have the throttle pinned, it can spin up the tires and get you going sideways. So just watch out for that as you're on the curbs. Just a little lift, and then just running the car out wide as well. That little lift will make sure you aren't going too wide here into the grass. Cold tires, this track is really tough on cold tires. You may want to hold this in 3rd gear for the first few laps, but once the tires are warm, you can shift up into 4th. So looking for the 100 board here, just past the 100 board, just at the kind of the kink in the road here, getting hard on the brakes, down into 2nd gear, very hard on the brakes. It looks like you can take this corner a lot faster. You certainly can, but you will be compromised through this section. This section is basically, think of it like Silverstone, the S's, or Suzuka. You have to get the entry right here. If you don't, you're going to be compromised through all the corners, and you're going to be really slow. I did not nail this. This is why my optimum is a bit better than my best time. So hard on the brakes, releasing the brakes, and I just did not brake enough. Again, you want to be on this curb. You want to have the car turned before you even get onto this curb. You don't want to be coming out straight here. You already want to be heading over to the right. So I did not get this. So get on top of that curb. Don't do as I do. Do as I say. And then getting the car over to the right to open up the next one. Holding it in 2nd gear, and again getting on top of this curb. This one I did get right, and just a little lift. Again, you don't want to be on throttle when you're on top of that curb. Picking up the throttle, and again getting over to the left to open this one up, because this is a big stretch of full throttle. And this is the really important part, is getting this exit right. Getting on the throttle, again just a little lift as you go over, especially on cold tires. Once they're really hot, once you're down to your last few laps, you can keep it pretty much pinned. Shifting up into 3rd, and watch the exit, especially on cold tires here. You do not want to get onto this green stuff. It will suck you off track, so watch out for that. Don't get onto that green. That is not friendly. And then just working your way up the gears, getting yourself over to the right. And it's really important actually to get over to the right here to open this up as much as possible. Now, you can get on the curbs here, but I found it, if you just hold a tight line through the apex here, it's actually faster for me. But you certainly can try getting onto these curbs. But I found it was just faster not getting onto the curbs there. And then just unwinding the wheel, getting up to the right hand side of the track, and it's important to hold a tight line here. The further left you are, the more the track falls away. So the tighter you are to the white line here, the faster you're going to be able to go through here, and the less speed you're going to be scrubbing. So, and I missed it here. So at this pavement patch here, just going to lift a little bit, again just so you're not understeering wide, scrubbing speed. If lifting is faster than scrubbing speed and running wide. And then once you get to this 2nd pavement patch here, shifting down into 3rd, and again just managing the throttle, and you want to actually get onto the curb here. Get your tire onto the curb. It will allow you to take this, get on full throttle much earlier, because this track again is falling away from you, and the left hand side, the grass here comes up awful quick. Probably a little lift here on cold tires, but once the tires are warm, just trust that it will hold the line. You can get on the grasscrete here a little bit as well. It's not going to give you an issue as long as you don't have a lot of wheel input in there. If you have the wheel cranked, you are going to spin. And then just watch out coming through this section. This is still a bit of a turn to it, so don't be looking in your mirrors and forget to steer the car to the right. And then looking for the sort of the little dip in the track here, turning in just before the dip in the track. Fourth gear, cold tires, yeah, you should be able to do this, no problem. And you have to turn in earlier than you think before that dip, because you want to cut this corner as much as possible. And a little bit of lift here. Now you can hold this full throttle, however, into this is sector 3. In sector 4, if you do a little lift here in sector 4, you are going to see the payday. Your delta is going to be dropping like crazy, whereas if you go through here full throttle, when you get into sector 4, your delta is not going to be doing you any favors. So just a little lift, cut that corner a little bit, and just watch the steering inputs. You're coming through here real quick, and it is off camber, and if you crank that wheel too much, you can spin, lose the back end, all that good stuff. Use all of the exit curb here. So just minimizing the wheel inputs. Again, if you did that little lift, you're going to be coming in here with a lot more speed. This is a big drafting section. Probably be a lot of passes attempted here. Just before the 50 board, getting on the brake, shifting down into third. Just easy on the brakes, just letting the car roll in, and this is just going to take some practice. There's no markers or anything. Shifting down into second. You do not want to be sliding wide through here. You want to make sure you're getting in tight towards the curbs coming up. They are a little bit unsighted until you get close to them. And then just a little bit of throttle just to keep that back end steady, and just slowing the car, making sure you're not coming in here too hot. If you're coming in here too hot, just like that first chicane section, if you screw this up, you're never going to really recover it, and it's going to cost you a lot of time. So get right on top of these curbs, keeping that wheel input minimum, because going over these curbs, if you crank the wheel, you are going to spin. And then just a little throttle just to keep that back end steady. You want to get the tire, your left tire, inside of the yellow edge of the curb. You don't want to cut the entire curb here. There is a slowdown and it is deadly. And then again, same thing with your right hand tire, getting it inside the yellow there. And at this point you want to be on full throttle, because again, this is another section, full throttle for a bit, unwinding the wheel, getting on these curbs, and you can even get on the track here. There's no X for that. And you can use the green stuff here on exit as well. Just don't get on the grass. You do get an X for that. And then just a little bit to the line. And yeah, that's a 118.8. 118.4 is the optimal. This is a very tough track to string together a really good lap. One little mistake will cost you a lot. So the straights here are so long, and one little mistake costs you quite a bit of time. So we'll run this out at full speed. Good luck. We'll see you out there. See you next time.